Hello, guys and ladies. I hope everyone is having a great Friday. Last day of the week. Woo! And it's the weekend. I hope you're able to get out and do some fun stuff with your family and enjoy the sun. I am reading today's installment of BFG. So here we go. Journey to Dream Country is today's. I think we'll read half the chapter. So this is today's half chapter. Here we go. After the mad Frobscottle party was over, Sophie settled herself again on top of the enormous table. "You is feeling better now?" asked the big friendly giant. "Much better, thank you," Sophie said. "Whenever I is feeling a bit scrotty," the BFG said, a few gallops of Frobscottle is always making me hopscotchy again." "I must say it's quite an experience," Sophie said. "It's a raz twizzler," the BFG said. "It's glorious." He turned away and strode across the cave and picked up his dream-catching net. "I is galloping off now," he said, "to catch some more wopsy whiffling dreams for my collection. I is doing this every day without missing. Is you wishing to come with me?" "Not me, thank you very much," Sophie said. "Not with those giants lurking outside." "I is snuggling you very cozy into the pocket of my waistcoat," the BFG said. "Then no one is seeing you." Before Sophie could protest, he had picked her up off the table and popped her into the waistcoat pocket. There was plenty of room in there. "Is you wishing for a little hole to peep out from?" he asked her. "There's one here already," she said. She had found a small hole in the pocket, and when she put one eye close to it, she could see out very well indeed. She watched the BFG as he bent down and filled his suitcase with empty glass jars. He closed the lid, picked up the suitcase in one hand, took the pole with the net on one end in the other hand, and marched towards the entrance of the cave. As soon as he was outside, the BFG set off across the great hot yellow wasteland, where the blue rocks lay and the dead trees stood, and where all the other giants were skulking about. Sophie, squatting low on her heels in the pocket of the leather waistcoat, had one eye glued to the little hole. She saw the group of enormous giants about 300 yards ahead. "Hold your breaths," the BFG whispered down to her. "Cross your figglers. Here we go. We is going right past all these other giants. Is you seeing that whopping great one, the one nearest to us?" "I see him," Sophie whispered back, quivering. "That is the horriblest of them all, and the biggest of them all. He is called the flesh lump eating giant." "I don't want to hear about him," Sophie said. "He is 54 feet high," the BFG said softly as he jogged along, "and he is swallowing human beings like they is sugar lumps, 2 or 3 at a time." "You're making me nervous," Sophie said. "I is nervous myself," the BFG whispered. "I always gets as jumpsy as a jog hopper when the flesh lump eating giant is around." "Keep away from him," Sophie pleaded. "Not possible," the GFB answered. "He is galloping easily 2 times as quicksy as me." "Shall we turn back?" Sophie said. Turning back is worse, the BFG said. If they is seeing me running away, they is all giving chase and throwing rocks. They would never eat you, though, would they? Sophie asked. Giants is never guzzling other giants, the BFG said. They is fighting and squirreling a lot with each other, but never guzzling. Human beings is more tasty to them. The giants had already spotted the BFG, and all heads were turned, watching him as he jogged forward. He was aiming to pass well to the right of the group. Through her little peephole, Sophie saw the flesh lump-eating giant moving over to intercept them. He didn't hurry. He just lopped over casually to a point where the BFG would have to pass. Sorry, guys and ladies, I think that should be, he just loped over casually to a point where the BFG would have to pass. The others loped after him. Sophie counted 9 of them all together, and she recognized the blood bottler in the middle of them. They were bored. They had nothing to do until nightfall. There was an air of menace about them as they loped slowly across the plain with long, lolloping strides, heading for the BFG. Here comes the runty one, boomed the flesh lump eater. Ho, ho, there, runty one, where is you splatch winkling away in such a hefty hurry? He shot out an enormous arm and grabbed the BFG by the hair. The BFG didn't struggle. He simply stopped and stood quite still and said, "Be so kind as to be letting go of my hair, flesh lump eater." The flesh lump eater released him and stepped back. A pace. The other giants stood around, waiting for the fun to start. "Now then, you little grub squiffler," boomed the flesh lump eater. "We is all of us wanting to know where you is galloping off to every day in the daytime. Nobody ought to be galloping off to anywhere until it is getting dark. The human beings could easily be spotting you and starting a giant hunt, and we is not wanting that to happen. Is we not?" "We is not," shouted the other giants. "Go back to your cave, runty one. I is galloping to any human being country," the BFG said. "I is going to other places. I is thinking," said the flesh lump eater, "that you is catching human beings and keeping them as pets." "Right you is," cried the blood bottler. "Just now I is hearing him chittering away to one of them in his cave." "You is welcome to go and search my cave from frack to bunt," the BFG answered. "You can go looking into every crook and nanny. There is no human beans or stringy beans or runnier beans or jelly beans or any other beans in here." Sophie crouched still as a mouse inside the BFG's pocket. She hardly dared breathe. She was terrified. She might sneeze. The slightest sound or movement would give her away. Through the tiny peephole, she watched the giants clustering around the poor BFG. How revolting they were! All of them had piggy little eyes and enormous mouths. When the flesh lump eater was speaking, she got a glimpse of his tongue. It was jet black, like a slab of black steak. Every one of them was more than twice as tall as the BFG. Suddenly, the flesh lump eater shot out 2 enormous hands and grabbed the BFG around the waist. He tossed him high in the air and shouted, "Catch him, man-hugger!" The man-hugger caught him. The other giants spread out quickly in a large circle, each giant about 20 yards from his neighbor, preparing for the game they were going to play. Now the man-hugger threw the BFG high and far, shouting, "Catch him, Bone Cruncher!" The Bone Cruncher ran forward and caught the tumbling BFG and immediately swung him up again. "Catch him, child chewer!" he shouted. And so it went on. The giants were playing ball with the BFG, vying with each other to see who could throw him the highest. Sophie dug her nails into the sides of the pocket, trying to prevent herself from tumbling out when she was upside down. She felt as though she were in a barrel going over the Niagara Falls. And all of the time, there was the fearful danger that one of the giants would fail to catch the BFG, and he would go crashing to the ground. So there's your picture. Oh, and they're just throwing him. Here, I got to show you the rest of the picture so you can see it all. Poor BFG and poor Sophie, so scary. Okay, guys and ladies, that's it for the day. Have a wonderful weekend. BFG will be back on Monday.